So there are two main reasons I decided to post this video. The first of which being I just wanted to share the progress of my account throughout the past 1 year. I think it's pretty cool looking back and seeing how far it's come. And the second reason being, my ego is so through the roof that I think people will actually care. Let's just get into it. I know you guys are mainly here for the characters I pulled and how I built them, but I think for a bit of context, it is important to just show you the general state of where I'm at in the game. So really quickly, I am a day 1 player and I've played pretty much every day since then. I also try to keep up with the story and all the missions, and I also generally like to stay on top of exploration progress. But I try to take it at my own pace. For example, in Penacony, there are a few chests left in Dream's Edge and the Reverie that I am yet to get to, but I'm sure I'll do so in time. And when new events come out, I try to complete them and have done so successfully for every event up till now. As for Memory of Chaos and recently added Pure Fiction, it was definitely a struggle at first, but I've been able to consistently clear Memory of Chaos with the maximum stars ever since I believe I got Luocha back in version 1.1. And ever since Pure Fiction released, I've been max starring it, which feels very nice for all the nice juicy Jade rewards. So that's all the basic gameplay stuff out of the way. Before we get into characters though, I would like to quickly show you my inventory, just if you are curious. Feel free to just have a look. This is what I've accumulated thus far. I try not to hoard too much of the trace materials. I tend to use them up as soon as I get them. Right now, I'm pre-farming for Acheron, seeing as she will be a Nihility unit. I assume she'll use this material. And for, like the rest of my traces, I just use them the moment I get them, basically. And the ones that I do have here are usually from events that I don't end up using. These are my light cones. As you can see, I do pull quite a bit on the weapon banner. I don't just like getting characters. For me, it is really nice to get characters, but almost more importantly, building them and making them strong is really what gives me joy and gives me a sense of progression and satisfaction in this game. So I got light cones for Jingliu, Fu Xuan, recently Sparkle, and Ruan Mei. And also this level 1 Black Swan light cone, which I genuinely don't know what to think about because I got it in 20 pulls while trying to pull for Dance Dance Dance, the Resolution light cone, and this new Xueyi light cone. So yeah, that's that. I don't even have Black Swan, as you'll see. And if you care, this is my other material pages, food, this stuff, and this stuff. So those are my materials. I would say I play a moderate amount, and those are just things that I've gathered through time. Okay, so now we get to the characters. I will try to keep this brief, but show you as much as possible, like going through the stats page and whatnot, and we'll bring up anything important if it comes to mind. I'll also flash the relics if you care about that, and show the Eidolons. So my Ruan Mei is E1, yes. My Ruan Mei is E1 because, first of all, I really like her design. I like her personality. I don't know what it says about me. Her personality is a bit questionable, according to a lot of people, but I find it very nice and soothing. So yeah. Apart from that, I also think that support Eidolons are really strong, and one of the biggest regrets I had in Genshin Impact is playing it in the first place. No, I'm kidding. Please don't cancel me. But not getting Kazuha's signature weapon, or even going for some of his Eidolons, because with the amount of time I played him, even getting his E1 or E2 would be worth it for me personally, because I just used to spam him all the time. I just liked his kit that much. He was just that comfy to play. And Ruan Mei gives me heavy Kazuha vibes, in the sense that she fits into almost any team and still provides value. She makes your life easier by crowd controlling the enemies like Kazuha does in Genshin, even though it's minimal crowd control, but it's still crowd control, so it's always comfy. Ruan Mei does that with extending the weakness break and increasing weakness break damage, delaying them even more, right? So she's overall a very comfy character that boosts your damage. Her E1 basically makes her do that job better. And so for me, coming from almost a place of I don't want to make the same mistake that I did in Genshin, I got her E1, which, I mean, defense ignore. If you know anything about these games, defense ignore is so good. so I just had to get it. One of the best things about this is that it makes characters that aren't super strong and not super viable in endgame content more viable. She helps them do damage, more damage, and helps them clear certain stages with subpar investment even. So she's amazing. This Eidolon is amazing. For me personally, you definitely don't need it. But as you're going to see, I decided to vertically invest, which in case you don't know means investing a lot on a fewer amount of characters compared to horizontal investment, which is investing a little on a wide range of characters. It's more of a choice. What kind of playstyle do you prefer? For me, in Genshin, I went the horizontal route, so I got basically every character in Inazuma, for example. So with this game, I decided to try vertical investment, and I have stuck to it for a year. That's why I think this account can be a bit interesting for that reason, and the fact that I committed so much into building supports. Speaking of which, let's just go over all of them, shall we? With Bronya being next. So I only got Bronya recently actually. I got my first Bronya ever by losing 50-50 on the Ruan Mei banner. So this is her build. She's 135 speed to just be a bit slower than my Jingliu. So they can do the Jingliu Bronya action advance and then Jingliu moves again kind of OP combo. These are her stats. She's on her light cone, and I also max her traces. You'll see that this is a trend with me and my support investment. These are her relics. If you didn't know, the 4-piece Hunter of Glacial Forest does work with Bronya's ults because the crit damage buff by 25 applies before her ult calculates how much crit damage she has and gives it to your allies. So this is effectively a 25 extra crit damage that will be taken into account to give your allies extra crit damage on her ult. Just flashing the pieces real quick. There you go. And she's also E1. So the story with this is I got one of her on the Ruan Mei banner, losing 50-50. And at the same time, I reached 300 pulls through leveling Ruan Mei, so I got myself an E1 Bronya because I guess it just made sense to me. I was Bronya-less for the longest time playing Jingliu, so the moment I got Bronya and had a chance to get her E1, I just felt like I had to go for it, seeing as how E1 kind of helps fix one of her big problems, right? So ever since I got Bronya, my Bronya has been E1, so I never really felt the skill point issue with her, seeing as I have a light cone, so pretty blessed by that. But it only took like 10 months to get my first Bronya, so that's the downside to that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I would say the one thing about Bronya that I like is that her basic attack animation is so satisfying. I don't know if it's just me or not. I love spamming it. I love the sound. I love the feel of it. It just feels nice. I don't know. I'm in love with Bronya's animations, man. Especially this one. Ah, so satisfying. Also, whenever she brings an ally forward, that animation is pretty top quality too. Anyway, moving on to Tingyun, which, real quick, I also did max out her traces. She's on Memories of the Past, and these are her stats. Okay, she's on 4-piece Hackerspace, just for a bit more speed for the team and herself. And she's E6. Got her E6 relatively early. Not much to say about Tingyun. All around, great support, nice to have, fits in so many teams. Just one of those units that I'm super glad to have built, and just glad to have that option to bring them to any fight whenever I want to. And now moving on to what most people would consider the last top tier, proper top tier Harmony unit. Sparkle, which is a really recent addition. These are her stats. And she's on her signature light cone that is also level 70. If you noticed this earlier and might have typed a comment already, like, why is the light cone level 70? Like Ruan Mei's and hers. Well, from past experience, Ruan Mei has never really died. She's always the last to die if my team dies, and by that point, it's already GG. So she has really good survivability already, so I don't see the need to level this to 80, so I've always kept it at 70. So I'm thinking the same with Sparkle, and so far it has worked out. So I think I'm going to leave it at 70 until they start dying, I guess. These are her traces. As you can see, also maxed out. Okay, I want to talk about this real quick. Yes, it's technically not necessary to max it out. Like, you get most of the value from level 9 traces already. And leveling up to level 10 takes so much resources for the same amount of benefit. And at that point, you could argue that leveling relics, using power to level up relics for example, your DPS, will be an overall DPS increase for your account compared to level 10ing traces as opposed to just keeping them at level 9. However, I feel like with the amount of times we use harmony units in our teams, even though the value increase is just a little bit, I feel like it is a little bit over a long period of time, which adds up. And it's kind of the reason I said I kind of regretted not getting Kazuha's signature weapon in Genshin, for example. And not because it is a significant upgrade or anything, but with the amount of times I use the character, the value would add up. And I guess that's kind of my philosophy with these things. Also, not gonna lie, seeing 10 10 10, hey, is pretty satisfying. But you'll see I actually don't do this for all characters. It's just mainly harmony units because I can't stop my crippling gambling addiction for relics. Real quick, these are her relics. And no E1, no Eidolons, nothing. I think she's perfect at E0. All these characters are perfect at E0, no need to pull E1. I like Sparkle, normal and healthy amount. So she's E0. Also, you might be thinking of 161 speed or 160 speed Sparkle for 4 turns in 2 cycles in MOC. With Hackerspace set, you actually do get that 4 turns in 2 cycles because of this speed buff you get from it. So yeah, I don't know what the minimum amount you need is. Maybe 155 or 156 or something. But yeah, 157 is good enough, I think. Next on the Harmony line is Asta, which I really like. I really like her character, her whole thing. I think she's quite funny and wholesome in the space station. I don't know, I just get good vibes from her. And I think she's cute. These are her stats. Nothing too special. I am 1 effect resistance off. Oh, never mind. I thought I was running broken kill set. Never mind. I was like, did I break the build again? Okay, this is her light cone. These are her traces. You can tell that I like her because you don't really need to level some of these traces, but I did anyway. As for relics, feel free to quickly have a look at them. And she's E6, one of my first E6 characters. Yukong. Okay, Yukong, I actually quite liked her at the start. I liked her character, I liked her whole quest line, and then I started playing her without E6. And I quickly realized that, yeah, it isn't that fun. These are her current stats. With her light cone, mashing cogs at the moment. And these are her relics, which are really scuffed right now. You can see that the orb is +0 at the moment. So yeah, I don't play her. I finally got her E6, but that's after I stopped playing her and after characters like Ruan Mei got released. And so I barely touch her now. Seeing the fact that I don't even have Imbibitor Lune, probably one of the best characters to pair with. Although I do have Welt, so I might play her again in the future. We'll see. And finally, we have Hanya, which I literally just got a few days ago pulling Sparkle. So she has been really nice to give me with a 1 free pull to get a 3-star weapon. But that's about it. Nothing much more to say about her. I'm sure she's a nice unit to play. I just haven't gotten around to it. And I currently don't see the need, seeing as I have Sparkle if I ever need a character to give me more skill points. So that's that. Okay, now let's talk about the opposite of harmony units, the nihility units. First one, let's talk about Pela. Pela turned out to be so useful, so helpful. I'm sure a lot of people feel this. I'm sure you even feel this, right? Like, Pela is amazing. She just does her job and she does it well in terms of pure gameplay. Not talking about her character or anything, which I did feel not that connected to at the start because she wasn't that present in the story and she didn't do much. But I think over time, I've come to appreciate her character design. I think it's cute. And her ability to just help out in the team. So this is my current build with her. It recently changed after the new set released. Recently got S4, Resolution Shines at Pearls of Sweat. This was originally S1 before the Black Swan Light Cone banner, and then the Black Swan Light Cone incident happened. These are her traces. Might level her ult more, just for the additional defense shredding. Could be beneficial, but it's not at the top of my priority right now. And then these are her current pieces. And E6, one of my first E6 characters. I think there was a pull session where I pulled 6 Pelas back to back to back to back to back to back to back. That's 6 times, right? Yeah. And I did get 3 Pelas in 110 pulls, so that was a thing. Oh, and I almost forgot Silver Wolf, who is on a crit DPS build without her light cone, without E2, without her signature light cone, I mean. She does have her event weapon. She has decent trace investment, and she has pretty good relics, I'd say. This body piece is probably one of the best pieces on my account. And this is the rest of her build. 0 Eidolons. I know it's not recommended to go for a crit DPS Pela build before E2 or E1 and without her light cone, but I thought, hey, since I have enough effect hit rate and I can spare the substats because I have good rolls in my relics, I thought, hey, may as well go damage, right? She's always being played with Fu Xuan anyway, so she doesn't really risk dying. So I thought, hey, more damage is more damage. So that's pretty much for the pure debuffers. I mean, there is still Welt, but I think he's more of a damage dealer. We'll talk about him later. And I don't build DOT units, as you see right here. Okay, so enough stalling. Now let's get to the juice. None of this buffing, debuffing stuff. We want to see the characters with the high attack, the high crit rate, high crit damage. The characters that actually do the work, do the big numbers, right? Ruan Mei is not doing her big numbers. Yes, she allows you to do big numbers, but who is actually doing the big numbers? Well, for my account, it is Jingliu. She is the one limited 5-star DPS I've pulled in the entire year. She's my one DPS, and I love her so much. I love her so much. And I'm sure she loves me a lot too, because I put so much resources into her. You have no idea. I farmed the relic domain that no one really farms, by the way, like crazy. And you'll see it in her stats, right? These are her stats. 2.8k attack, 139 speed, more than she needs. And then 47.9 crit rate, and almost 250 crit damage with ice damage boost as well. She's running her signature light cone, and she has max traces. My only character that has actual max traces. I called like Bronya and Ruan Mei having a max traces, but that's just like triple 10. The basic wasn't leveled, but I even leveled Jingliu's basic even though it's not needed. And these are her relics. Feel free to have a look. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in this domain. Don't regret it though, but as a result, I did miss out on building a few characters that I could have otherwise built. And yes, I have her E1 because her being my only main DPS means I will use her all the time. And I thought, hey, if I'm going to use her all the time, it'll be worth giving her a bit more strength. And I felt like it, and I did have the means to do it. So I did it. And it has been really nice because it makes her versatile. She can do really, really well in AoE situations, right? Ideally 3 enemies, she crushes that. And now with this, she crushes it even in one target scenarios, even harder than an E0 Jingliu would. E0 Jingliu already destroys everything, but this one just makes her destroy a bit harder, which, hey, I like. Vertical investment, right? Vertical investment. So yeah, really happy with her, really proud of her. She's so cool. I liked her the moment I saw her in the Jingyuan trailer. Everyone was getting hyped for Jingyuan at the time. I saw it and I was like, damn, who is that? I hope she's playable. And then I later learned that she's playable, and that was it. That was it. I just started saving, and the rest is history. I know it's probably a very basic story. Anyone will look at that Jingyuan trailer and also feel something for Jingliu, I'm sure. But yeah, that's me. That's me. And just because I'm a simp, I would like to say that I like how mysterious she is. I like her whole attitude, her whole thing. about being a once renowned sword champion that now has to go on this path of, I don't know, like there's so much mystery to it. We don't even know what she's doing, but there's this aura of I love you, Jingliu. You're okay, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so if you recall, I do MOC though. And MOC requires 2 sides, which means 2 teams and 2 main DPSs at least. So Jingliu has 1 side down pat. She's my anchor. She just clears no matter what weaknesses. She just destroys. She's great. The other side, well, is where things get interesting. I have a few options. In the early days, believe it or not, it was actually Herta, who was one of my main carries. These are her stats right now. I say right now because she was using a lot of the pieces Jingliu was holding. Is holding. It was Herta until Jingliu. And don't get me wrong, I still really like Herta. I think she's still quite decently built. So it was a bit sad when I had to remove all her relics and give it to Jingliu. But then Pure Fiction came out and now I use her a lot again and I feel very happy that she has a place to shine. So she's running Genius's Repose. These are her traces. Pretty well invested, I'd say. And the specific relics that she is running. E6, as I'm sure a lot of people have. I really like Herta too. Nothing much more to say. I guess I just really like Ice Women. You know, Ruan Mei, Jingliu, Herta. I guess that's a pattern. Another pattern is also me using erudition characters that aren't very strong to clear MOC in the early days. One of them being Himeko, which I am still using against fire weak sides. So I used her to clear floor 11 this round, for example. I would say she's moderately built. These are her stats. High attack, a bit scuffed on the crit ratio. This is the light cone she's running. Her traces, good investment, I'd say. And she's on off pieces. So because I don't play DOT characters and I don't really play follow-up characters, I don't really find farming that specific relic cavern beneficial. So these are just some off pieces that I have for her. And she's E0. Nothing much more to say. I quite like her. I think she is pretty cool. I like her animations, her playstyle, the follow-up attack and everything. She is a bit weak though, but Pure Fiction, yay. She has a lot of use now. But I did used to run her in MOC as well. So that's a bit of a copium 5-star unit for MOC. But what is not copium I found is Clara, which I recently built, recently as in 2 months ago or so, because I got her light cone, her signature light cone. These are her stats. Well invested as well in talents. You know, this was actually a goal of mine before 2.0 to get all the 1.0 characters that I played up till like decent investment in talents. Decent to me is at least level 8, ideally level 9, and if I really like them, level 10, if I end up playing them a lot in the long term. So this is what I did before 2.0, and she's running the 4-piece Longevous set, which I have a lot of because I farmed that domain a lot for the hackerspace pieces. For the other supports like Tingyun, E0 currently, and I really enjoy using her. She's amazing. She's such a Chad. She just goes into any stage, even off weakness, off element, and she still does really respectable damage and doesn't really care too much about dying, which is fantastic. Also, in case you caught it and if you're wondering, she's on attack orb because I mostly run her with Ruan Mei, which gives so much damage percent that it is just more worth it to go attack orb on her because of diminishing returns. So those are my current options for DPS units. Jingliu, always for whatever content. And Clara, really good in a lot of content as well, like MOC. And then we have Himeko and Herta, who have been kind of relegated to Pure Fiction, although they're so helpful there. And also Simulated Universe if I ever play Elation. Now let's talk about Mono Quantum, because this is where it gets a bit interesting for me, because this is something very new for me as well. And it's a direction I'm planning to build my account in. I don't have Zila. Personally, not the biggest fan. Nothing wrong with her. She's nice. But I like Xueyi. I really like Xueyi. And I've spent a lot of resources building her. These are her current stats. I would say pretty decent investment. I do hope to get this to S5 one day. It would be really nice, but you know, no rush. Currently working with S2. Might max this out soon, seeing as how much fun I'm having with her. And these are her relics. Pretty okay considering I don't farm that much Salsoto and also the Genius set. This is the big thing though. She's currently E3, and the more I play Xueyi, the more I realize that yes, she's playable, but to really be up there, to be like, to feel nice even, I feel like she needs her E6. Needing 8 stacks to trigger her follow-up attack feels like a bit too much, and also she lacks a bit of damage. Not that she does lack too much, but it would be really nice to get extra break effect for the damage percent, get the ultimate level up, talent level up, you know, and of course this just to make her feel smoother to play. Other than that though, she's a really nice unit. I like her aesthetics. I don't know, I just guess I like these really serious, low-key traumatized characters in the form of Jingliu and Xueyi. I plan to play her more and build her more, and I will probably share my progress in that regard with you guys on the YouTube channel. Do let me know if you want to see some Xueyi build or like showcase videos, because this is something I'm personally very interested in right now, especially like after getting to an E6. Or even trying to make her work without her E6. I think it's a struggle, but it's a struggle I don't mind going through. Not to forget Qingque, which is always on scuffed pieces for me. This is her build currently. It's not her proper final build. Good investment on traces as well. This is something I did right before 2.0 hit as well. Yeah, because she shares pieces with Xueyi. Remember how I mentioned I don't really farm this cavern? Yeah, she has to share pieces with Xueyi. She's E6. She's another character that I quite like. Sometimes it can be frustrating gambling with her in the sense that she automatically instantly gets her full hand and doesn't get any benefits from the damage percent buffs from her talent. So it can feel pretty bad, but that's kind of the appeal as well, right? Like she's such a little troll and you might hate that, you might love it. I think it's a video game character. It's lines of data, lines of code. Imagine getting mad. Lamau XD Dan Heng. Okay, this boy, this man, this Giga Chad is the person who carried me in the first few entire months of the game. I was stubborn. I knew Zila would be very nice to pull to have a nice strong main DPS that would carry me through the game. If I pulled her then, she would still be really strong in the account even now in 2.0. But I was like, no, she is not perfect. She's not ideal. She's not the perfect waifu for me. She doesn't look like that person in Jingyuan's trailer that I really vibe with. I will not pull. And so I didn't pull. And so what I had to do was put up with this guy. And to be fair, he wasn't that bad. He was nice to use. He felt okay. He felt fine. I even pulled Eidolons for him early on because Jingyuan's banner had him in it, I think. Or is it Silverwolf's banner? Silverwolf's banner had him. I pulled for his E6 along with Serval, but we'll talk about her later. I really felt the power difference going from him to E1 Jingliu, but that just made it even better. That made me love Jingliu even more. So I thank him. He currently is on his old build, I think, although I normally do run this light cone on him. And so yeah, these are his stats instead. He had okay trace investment, pretty okay, average. Keep in mind, I only played him for the first around 3 months of the game until I got Jingliu. Yeah, he was fine. He was fine. I used him alongside Welt as my day one starter team. Welt being a unit that I really enjoyed playing, and I still do. I just haven't played him that much. And I probably stopped playing him because of how annoying Yukong is to play. As sad as that is to say, pre-E6, Yukong wasn't fun to play at all. These are his current stats. Good night, sleep well, light cone. If I would play him again though, I would unlock this trace and I would level up these traces. The individual pieces. E1, which is nice. If I can get a standard 5-star Eidolon, I think I would go for this one. It would be really, really nice to maybe play with Acheron in the future. in like a dual nihility kind of setup. And quickly before we move on to the last DPS, there's Hook, which I did play for a while in the start, but she isn't really geared at the moment, and she is like half-ish built, if you can consider this half-built. Might revisit her in the future. But Serval, the last DPS that I played, who has no relics at the moment, a bit unfortunate because I don't play her anymore, even in Pure Fiction, because she feels okay there, but if enemies are not lightning weak, it's kind of GG. I would not play her. She does have some trace investment because at the start of the game, when I was first trying to clear MOC seriously, the first half or like one side of it would be Dan Heng and Welt for me, and then the other side would be Serval and like Tingyun and like Natasha and maybe March, so I don't die. So she did really carry me early game, and I really thank her for that. She did help me 36 star for the first time. I guess it was 30 star back then. Very usable character. You can use 4 stars to clear this game, but it is significantly harder. But I'm glad I did invest into her. With that said though, this isn't me saying you should build characters just for MOC. If you don't like the character, you don't have to build them. And you shouldn't just build characters that are strong just because they'll help you clear MOC. Yeah, sure, you can get extra Jade, so it might be worth it in that sense. But like, for example, pulling a limited 5-star just to clear MOC, you kind of waste or like you use more Jade in order to get a little bit of Jade, so it's not worth it. But in the case of this, where it's just like, it was the early game, I didn't want to pull, and I wanted to feel like I was playing the game. I wanted to participate in all the game's combat elements, such as MOC. I do feel like it was worth it, and I'm happy that I did level her, even though I do not play her at all now, and I haven't played her for a long time, long time, probably 6 months or so, apart from playing her a bit in Pure Fiction here and there. So even though at the end of the day, I can't get back any of these resources anymore, even though I don't play Serval, you can say it's completely wasted. That whole experience and all the fun I had doing that can't be replaced. So I don't regret it at all. I feel like it is an investment into the fun at the time. So in that sense, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that I feel that not everything you do for your account needs to be for any like long-term end game goal. Like, what's a character that you would use till the end of time and you only build that character, right? I see a lot of videos talking about power creep immune characters or characters that will stand the test of time, and you should build these characters now. Build them now, because you will use them forever. And that's an amazing thing. And yes, some characters are more immune to power creep than others, but that doesn't mean you can't build whoever you want. You can't build whoever you need at the time. And I say that not because I'm some sort of guru or some guy who's like super smart that knows all these things and just plays perfectly every time. I'm saying this because I am that person. I was that person. I really found it hard to fully invest into a 4-star that I know will get power creep in this game in the future, right? Even 5-star units were better than Dan Heng at the time. Like, Zila was so much better than Dan Heng already, right? But I'm glad I did it. Anyway, that was a super big tangent. Low-key sounded like I'm going to therapy and I'm like sorting out my emotions or whatever about a video game character, which is interesting that that's the world we live in. Pretty funny, not gonna lie. Yeah, that's it. That's it on the DPSs. And now finally, let's talk about sustain units real quick. Starting off with what carried me in the early game, Natasha. She doesn't have a build on at the moment because I don't play her anymore. So she's just a placeholder for Gallagher, I think, upcoming character. So nothing much to see here. These are her talents that I invested in when I needed her to heal the team early on. I don't think she really needed too much as well. She was kind of doing okay healing. Never ended up getting much Eidolons on her, even after I stopped playing her. At the time, she was E0, but she was sufficient to carry me through, even though it was very painstaking and I did need to pair her up with Fire MC a lot to make sure I didn't die, but I still did. Fire MC, she's on the slide cone, and these are her stats, and this is actually the pieces I did run on her early on that I still haven't leveled because I have no reason to. March is the same. She's running her light cone, that's also not level 80. And March is E6. Yeah, my Fire MCC6 too. Gepard, I got recently. Not built whatsoever. E1, don't need another sustain. Lynx got recently. E4, don't need another sustain though, so they're not built. Why do I not need any sustains? You probably saw, but I have Luocha and Fu Xuan. Let's go over Luocha first. This is his build. Very happy with it. Super tanky, doesn't die, heals a bunch. He's on quid pro quo. Any light cone will be good on him. Mix set. Just focusing on speed, HP, and defense, and attack, and effect resistance, and healing. And that's pretty much what we got. And E0. And then we have Fu Xuan, which is decently invested into. These are her current stats. For mine, 53 effect resistance, her signature, her talents, and then mix set again. And these are the stats focusing on HP, effect resistance, and defense, energy regeneration. She does have her E1 though. So the story of this is I got lucky. That's the story. I did 70 pulls and won the 50-50 and got her. Did 10 pulls and got her light cone. Actually got her light cone in 3 pulls, if you want to be theoretically correct. And then the next day, I was feeling a bit of the gambling addiction. I was like very fidgety. I just needed that dopamine rush. I was like, that E1 looking juicy, that 30% crit damage at all times, looking juicy. My characters will hit so hard, right? So I was like, imagine in 10 pulls if I got her. I did a 10 pull and then I got her. On the 10th pull. Sue me, okay? I'm lucky. Sue me. Sue me. Actually, don't, please. Please. I need my money for gacha. Speaking of money, I think that is all the characters covered. Oh yeah, Dr. Ratio I didn't build. Might build him in the future. But we'll leave that for another video. Speaking of money, how much did I spend on this account? That's the golden question. That's a question everybody wants to know about. That's the thing people care about. Cool. You have all these characters that are built like this. But how much real world, hard, cold cash do you spend? And how much time do you spend? Well, like I said, I played every day. And I play a moderate amount. I play enough to complete most things. As for cash, I spent a total of around 300 US dollars, I would say, since the start of this game. So what did that money get spent on? Well, first and foremost, the Express Pass. Probably the one thing that most people would spend money on in this game because it's the best value, especially if you play a lot. And on top of that, also just straight up buying Stellar Jade. I just bought all of this once just to do the double bonus thing. I don't know what it is, but my Asian brain sees it as, oh my god, big value. It's like the age-old company trick, just make something really expensive and then give them a 50% discount. So people are like, oh my god, that's so cheap, it's 50% discount. You get double the bonus if you buy it. Well, it worked. I'm dumb, it worked on me. So I got all of the double bonus and I was like, shit, okay, no more bonus, no more double bonus. This is trash value. Imagine buying this now. Where's the double? It's only so little. Surely they won't bring back the double bonus in version 2.1 and then tempt me again, right? Surely I won't be tempted again, right? No, surely not. It won't happen. I've actually made the decision to just make do with whatever I have now and just save through playing and not spend on this kind of jade anymore. I don't feel like it's necessary. Okay, and then quickly, I also buy the Nameless Honor, or you could say Battle Pass. And I actually buy the second tier. I bought it every single time. It is something that I did in Genshin as well. Why? Because I am addicted to relic gambling and I like fuel. And early on in the game, I started doing this for the fuel because I wanted to gain EXP. I wanted to gain Trailblazer level really fast, and I guess it became a habit. That's where a lot of the $300 is. Getting this instead of the first tier, which is honestly 90% of the value already, right? And to top all of this off, a quick discussion on why did I spend and when did I spend. I spent early on in the game. Coming from Genshin, I was quite burnt out. I wanted something new. I wanted to get to the end game as fast as possible because I wanted the feeling of rolling good relics for characters. At the time, I mostly built all the characters in Genshin already, all the characters that I cared about and owned. And I wanted that rush. I wanted that feeling of having a character that's weak, slowly building them up, making them super strong, and then destroying content with them. In order to do that though, you need to get to the end game first to farm the powerful relics, right? You might think this is cursed, it might sound cursed to you, but a lot of my jade went into refreshing in the early game. Some days I would do 3 refreshes, some days I'll even go up to 5 refreshes in the early game. And that's how I got to Trailblaze level 60, 65 fast. And then once I hit 65, I basically stopped refreshing at all. And nowadays, I don't even refresh that much. I might refresh once if I really, really need to pre-farm for a character or I can't control it or whatever. But generally, I just save nowadays. So yeah, this is me just sharing. I'm not saying do what I do. This is just me showing you how my account is, telling you some stories from the past. And maybe in a future video, we'll talk about what direction I want to bring it in, because I will be pulling my second ever 5-star limited main DPS soon, Acheron, right? So yeah, that's that. Hopefully I covered everything. If there is more stuff that you want to know, and if there's stuff that I missed, feel free to leave a comment down below or join me on the Twitch stream. The link will be in the description and I hope to see you there. I'm trying to stream more and make more videos. So let me know what you want to see, what are some potential nice ideas that you might have. Or you can not as well, that's fine. I'll try to come up with stuff on my own. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.